गच्छते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथाः मा गृधः कस्यचित् धनम् विद्यां च यत्तद्वेदो भयं सदा अविद्यया मृत्युं तीर्त्वा विद्ययामृतमश्नुते सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ओम शांति शांति शांतिः.
Namaskara ellarigu. A very warm and little bit chill welcome to all for the 6-day faculty development program. To implement human values through different framework for holistic education, the college has taken an initiative of doing this faculty development program on different frameworks for holistic education organized by Department of Languages, MSRCAC, in association with Swadeshi Vijnana Andolana Karnataka under Samvedanam 21-22 initiated by Internal Quality Assurance Cell. I now request Principal Madam Dr. A. Nagaratna to welcome all the delegates.
Very good afternoon and very warm welcome to all of you. Samvedanam, knowledge with excellence, in association with Swadeshi Vijnana Andolana Karnataka, Ramaya College of Arts, Science and Commerce is very happy to initiate this Samvedanam lecture series. And as a part of the lecture series, the college is hosting a 6-day faculty development program on different frameworks for holistic education, an IQAC initiative jointly with the Swadeshi Vijnana Andolana Karnataka in association with the Indian languages of Ramaya College of Arts, Science and Commerce. Indeed, we are very happy and thankful to all the speakers of the 6-day faculty development program for having accepted our invite and present with us for the 6 days faculty development program. And as a part of this faculty development program, we are very happy on behalf of Ramaya College of Arts, Science and Commerce. I welcome all the speakers, the resource persons for all the 6 days. Though all of them are not here, but in absentia, I welcome all of them for this lecture series. And in addition to that, all the faculty members of different colleges who are participating to be a part of this lecture series, and also the student participants and all other teaching and non-teaching staff who are present. And we have with us today a very eminent personality, Dr. V.R. Panchamukhi, Chancellor, SGS Vidyapita, Mantralayam, who is going to be the resource person for the day. He will be speaking on a very important topic, the principles of management in Bhagavad Gita. I'm sure there will be a lot of takeaways from his talk and very interesting. So on behalf of the college and on behalf of SWAG, we heartily welcome you, sir. Dr. V.R. Panchamukhi, Honorable Chancellor, SGS Vidyapita. And thank you for accepting our invite and to be here to deliver your talk on the principles of management in Bhagavad Gita. I welcome all the delegates, participants, teaching staff, students for this 6-day faculty development program. And thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll start today's session with God's Blessing by Invocation Song by Paripurna Bhatt, 5th semester, BSc Genetics.
वरसि विनायकम् वरसि विनायकं भज रे मानसा वरसि विनायकं भज रे मानसा वरदा भय हस्तो वरदा भय हस्तं वारिजास नादिनोतं वरगुरुः सोदरम् वरगुरुः सोदरं वीरगणाधिपूजितं मूषिकवाहनमोदककरं चतुरतरकरं वरसि विनायकं भज रे मानसा वरसि विनायकम्
Thank you, Paripurna. Now I request Dr. Shobha L, HOD, Department of Languages, to give vote of thanks to this inaugural session.
Namaste to all. I feel honored to get an opportunity to propose vote of thanks on behalf of the management, principal, and staff. First, I express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Panchamukhi sir for your kind acceptance despite of his busy schedule to grace this occasion as a resource person. Thank you, sir. My special thanks to our honorable directors, Shri M.R. Janakiram and Shri M.R. Kodandaram, for all the support they have extended in all our endeavor. We are also grateful to Shri B.S. Ramaprasad, Chief Executive, and Shri G. Ramachandra sir, Chief of Finance, GS, for this encouragement. My heartfelt thanks to our beloved principal ma'am for consistent support and inspiration. I also wish to express our thanks to Vice Principal, Dean, and heads of various departments and staff, administration and supporting staff. Special thanks to the members of Swadeshi Vigyana Andolana for their continuous support and cooperation. And great thanks to you, ma'am. And special thanks to Civil Department of NMIT for providing WebEx link for all the 6 days. We are very grateful to you, sir, for your technical support. Thank you.
Thank you, Shobha ma'am. Now it's time to start today's session. Today's topic is Principles of Management in Bhagavad Gita. I now request Dr. Y.S. Gayatri ma'am to introduce today's speaker.
Namasabhayai, Sabhapatibhyascha. So I'll give his brief introduction for the wanted time. Dr. Panchamukhi sir is well versed in many domains of knowledge and many disciplines. He is a multidisciplinary person. He is well versed in economics. He is well versed in mathematics. He is well versed in Sanskrit, and 2 decades of experience in teaching subjects like econometrics, planning models, international trade and development economics in Bombay University. And he also served as chairman, Indian Council of Social Science Research, that is ICSSR, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, Director General, founder of the Research Information System for Non-Aligned and Other Developing Countries, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, Chief Research Division and also Executive Director of Trade and Development Authority, Ministry of Commerce, Government of India, and also as Economic Advisor in the Ministry of Finance, Government of India since 1979. And he has a vast experience in the field of Sanskrit also. So he was the former Vice Chancellor for Tirupati University, that is Sanskrit University, Samskrita Vidyapith, Rashtriya Samskrita Vidyapitham. And also now he is serving as he has
30 p.m. Rest a little.
been the chancellor for Guru Sarvabhauma Samskrita Vidyapitha Mantralayam. He is also executive director Shri Guru Sarvabhauma Samshodhanam Mandira Mantralayam, and also many awards have followed him for his scholarship. So he has been honored with honoris causa title of Vachaspati by Lal Bahadur Sanskrit University. And Panchmukhi has been honored World Sanskrit Conference held at New Delhi, the Vishishta Samskrita Seva Vrati. And he is formally trained in non-Sanskrit economics, econometrics subject. At National Conference held at Udupi, honoris causa title of Vidvat Chakravarti has been conferred on him, and he has been called by many nations for holding the meeting or attending the meeting or a seminar or as a guest. He has visited Australia, Austria, Bangladesh, China, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, Netherlands, North Korea, UK, USA, Zimbabwe, and others for delivering lectures, participating in the seminars, for attending formal meetings on the invitation of host institutions. So he was an honored guest of honor for the government of Japan. He was invited by that. And Dr. Panchamukhi sir has delivered more than 80 to 85 lectures on Bhagavad Gita and management. Sir, I welcome you for this, and I give you the stage to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all for this opportunity.
Yeah, shall I begin? Thank you. Vagarthaviva sampraktau vagartha pratipattaye jagatah pitarau vande Parvati Parameshwarau. Am I audible? Am I audible?
You are audible, sir, but not.
No, I know camera, there is some problem with camera. It's okay, but as long as the voice is coming, I am able to see you all. So that is enough. So thank you for this invitation. Professor Gayatri is responsible for inviting me. I am thankful to the honorable principal of the college and other people who have been responsible for extending the invitation to me. All that biodata which Professor Gayatri has read out is only incidental biodata for me, but you should judge me from the lecture which I am going to deliver. And yeah, please start the. That's right. So I will keep on saying next. You must just change to next because I have got too many slides. So please change to the next. So I will. I am thankful to Professor Gayatri. Professor Gayatri had prepared a book in Kannada on Vijnana Shanmukam at my instance. Six scientists of Sanskrit literature written by Ramachandradu. She translated from Sanskrit to Kannada. Very well done, and it is well received and published by the National Institute of Physics Science. Recently, she gave a series of brilliant lectures on physics in ancient India under the auspices of the National Institute of Physics Science, of which I happen to be the president. And I have delivered more than 60, 70 lectures on SVBC, and they are all available on YouTube on Bhagavad Gita and their relevance to the modern times. So Bhagavad Gita and management is a theme of my very special interest and passion. So I do not say no to any invitation for Bhagavad Gita and management. Please, next one. I am not getting the slides myself. What has happened? You should I should get the slides myself now on the screen. Anyway, so that is my passion, and I keep on saying about these things. And now in any issue of management, I'm glad that you are organizing this event as faculty development. And faculty development can take place if they are exposed to different disciplines and different approaches to the problem. Some of you doing management courses or economics courses know that we are caught in the midst of Western management science, Western economic science. All these Western economic sciences are couched in a framework which is not the same as the traditional Indian wisdom-based framework. And so we have to make a distinction between the Indian thoughts on management and development and economics and the Western thoughts of management and development. I must get the slides which you are showing. How I am not able to get it. Anyway, so the third slide, next one. Select issues before a manager. I have listed the select issues as situations of make decisions in situations of multiple options. How to set the goals for the corporate sector. What should be the work culture for the labor and the officers as also the managers. And what should be the nature of the human relations both within the organization and with the rest of the society. And for many of these very fundamental answers are given in Bhagavad Gita. Why Bhagavad Gita is a treatise on human resources, on psychology, on managing oneself. And I'm not able to get the slides on my screen. Bhagavad Gita is a treatise on management. And but the Western management science of Peter Drucker and company gives us managing others, whereas Bhagavad Gita gives stress on managing oneself. Next slide. Or how we should manage ourselves. That is more important than managing others. Unless we know how to manage ourselves, we will not be able to manage others. And the entire Bhagavad Gita is a treatise on managing oneself. Through Arjuna, Krishna tells all of us how we should manage ourselves. And the question of managing oneself is more fundamental than the question of managing others. So the question of the approach of CEO and the managers, so that the prospects of highest efficiency become brighter. Can you go to the next video, next slide of mine? I'm not able to get your slide on my screen. How? It was coming, but it has gone. Ramesh, can you
just refresh it, sir?
No, I'm not able to get your slides on my screen.
I think so. What happened? But everybody is seeing your site, sir.
Oh, no, but I must know which slide I'm speaking about.
Select issues before the management.
Okay, select issues before the manager. Okay. Now, so the questions of managing oneself as against managing others is more important than managing others. And the management is a question of dealing with situations of conflict of interests, stress, and conflict of situations. And unless we resolve them in an amicable manner, we will not be able to manage ourselves. And next one, list of stressors as per the modern theory. Among the many stressors mentioned by employees, these are the most common. The way employees are treated by their bosses, supervisors, or company, lack of job security, and company policies, co-workers who don't do their fair share, unclear expectations, poor communications, not enough control over the assignments. Like this, a number of issues create stress in management. And but Bhagavad Gita differs from these. I will skip over those slides which are telling about the Western management techniques with which most of you must be familiar. But Bhagavad Gita theory of management is distinct from the Western theory of management or the modern theory of management, because Bhagavad Gita recognizes the manager for want of any other type word, I use it as spiritual aspects of life. Then the blend of materialistic and spiritual aspects. Spiritual does not mean religion or rituals, or but it only refers to the values and the norms of behavior which are which distinguish us from mere materialism approach. The materialism approach tells us how to deal with income, how to deal with profits, how to deal with various other parameters which are highly materialistic. But the spiritual dimension gives us the values of contentment, value of caring for others, the value of cooperation, and such other non-economic dimensions of existence. And then only they distinguish from the Western science. In particular, the goals of activities in the manager to be conceived in a holistic framework is the slide, 9th slide I am referring to. The dharma, artha, kama, moksha. We can't help using these jargons. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Unfortunately, we have been told right from Macaulay's times that Vedas are mantras or hymns to be recited during certain rituals, certain birth ceremony, marriage ceremony, Vednya. All these are, but they give a philosophy of life. Vedas give a philosophy of life. And we have to understand the interpretations of the jargons of the Vedic language into the modern language. Then only we will be able to. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma would not mean religion in the modern sense, as the dictionary tells us. Religion means rituals. Dharma means values. That is why in Kautilya's Artha Sutras, he says that for real happiness, real welfare of the society, welfare at the individual level, the first ingredient is value system. Sukhasya moolam dharma. Then only the real happiness would come. Dharmasya moolam arthaha. Arthasya moolam rajyam. Rajyasya moolam indriyajaya. Indriyajayasya moolam vinaya. Vinayasya moolam vruddhopaseva. Vruddhopasevaya moolam vijnanam. Vijnanena atmanam vinded. He gives Kautilya in the Artha Sutras, towards the end of the Artha Shastra, gives the summing up of his viewpoint, of his philosophy of life by saying that for happiness, for welfare, we need to develop values in life. Because without values, if you have capital formation, if you have development with capital and labor and skills, technology, and so on, we will not be happy. The norms of life, values of life are important. And the arthaha is capital formation. Dharma is value system. Arthaha is capital formation. Kama is consumption. Now, only the modern science, economic science or management science, emphasize more on artha and kama, whereas the traditional wisdom tells us about dharma and moksha. So moksha, I interpret it as a situation where you are free from bondages. It's not the moksha in the sense of going to God's place and so on. Moksha is freedom from bondages, all prejudices, all biases, all negative thinking. That should be given up. The negative thinking is summarized in the traditional jargon by kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara. If these 6 enemies of happy living are eliminated, then only you will have a positive thinking and the real happiness and welfare comes. You should not be crazy to create more and more of wealth without caring for the values to be enunciated. So kama should not mean excessive consumerism. the modern science of management or economics and development emphasize on excessive consumerism. It is the excessive consumerism which has led to the creation of all problems of life, like ecological imbalance, environmental issues, and resource and inequities. All these are generated because the persons who have access to resources try to maximize their consumption. Whereas the traditional wisdom tells us that we must restrain our karma, our consumption, and make the resources available for the rest of the society. These are all fundamental principles. Macaulay made us forget about our ancient wisdom, and he said that I want to create people with Indian body and Western soul, British mind. That is how gradually we lost touch with Sanskrit. We lost touch with the literature of Sanskrit, which was giving us. The education system was corrupted by introducing all the. I don't express my unhappiness because the English education was done, but the content of the education was more of British and Europe and America, and we gradually moved away from learning our own scriptures, our own sources of knowledge, our own sources of wisdom. And therefore, the moksha means keeping away from the sources of bondage, prejudices, which destroy the efficiency of human beings. And therefore, dharma, artha, kama, moksha would mean having optimum capital formation for satisfying the basic needs of all in a value-based framework of highest efficiency. Because freeing ourselves from the bondages like kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara, excessive consumerism, all these would make us more efficient in our functioning. If we are obsessed with your own self-consumption, you try to do many irrational things, and corruption and all these things come because we are worried about our own consumptions. And now in the entire Bhagavad Gita, there are two models of decision making. One is Duryodhana, another is Arjuna. In the first Adhyaya itself, these two models are introduced. Duryodhana does not consult anybody. He does not go to Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, or Vidura was not there in any case in the picture. He does not go to them for consultation, whether he is doing what he is doing right or wrong. He comes to his own conclusions. To safeguard the interests of Bhishmacharya. Whereas Arjuna was also feeling the same situation of dilemma, but he analyzes it very thoroughly. He says, but he had certain parameters, certain variables absent in his decision model, except the variable of Kartavya. He, as a Kshatriya, is supposed to protect the system from corruption, system from adharma, system from decay of values. It is his duty, except considering that it is his duty to fight and destroy the adharmis, he keeps on arguing that the enemies are our own bandhavas, our own people. So the definition of depression is given very beautifully by Raghavendra Swamigalu in the commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Vishada, he becomes the first adhyaya is called as Vishada Yoga. Vishada means mohanimittakat, chokat, and manodaurbhalyam, yasmin sati sarva vyaparo paramaha bhavati saha vishadaha. Vishada, depression, in many situations of management, any situation of decision making, even at the household level, housewife level, at the student level, at the teacher level, at the worker level, comes out of misconceptions, out of some misunderstanding, moha, ajnana, viparita jnana, because he did not properly understand the situation that the people standing in front of him are adharmis. He thought they are his relatives, his brothers, sisters, his mamas and grandfathers, gurus, and so on. So he forgot at that moment that they are all indulging in adharma. Therefore, that particular lack of clarity in his thinking created confusion in his action, in his choice of options. And therefore, a good manager is the one who keeps his options very clear and does not get bogged down by certain misconceptions or misunderstandings. Now, if you feel that even an iota of misconception is there, you should not decide your own. He decided to leave the Gandhi Udanas and leave the warfare and become a sannyasi and so on. But still he thought that something fishy in his thinking, something fishy in his decision. So he decides to go to Krishna for advice. And once you go to a person like Krishna, who is knowledgeable, he does not order him. Krishna, advisor or the guide or the source of knowledge, wisdom, is not supposed to be autocratic. He is supposed to give all the parameters of analysis to the person who is in depression and help him to analyze himself and then come to the conclusion. Towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, he says that then do listen to all my points and are you able to analyze? He says you do whatever you like by analyzing all the issues that I have laid before you. So advisor has to go in a systematic manner to deal with the situation. That is the message for management. If you have faith in an advisor, call upon him to give you the advice, but he should not become autocratic in saying, do this. If Krishna had told Arjuna, you fight, don't talk nonsense now, he would have done it. But perhaps he would have done it. But then we would not have got the Bhagavad Gita as a treatise of management or treatise or human behavior. But he proceeds in a systematic manner, first to remove all the sources of misconception. The entire second Adhyaya is Sankhya Yoga, is removing all the misconceptions of Arjuna. Why the dukkha takes place? If people die, it's death and birth are common to human beings. Jiva is also Nitya, Paramatma is Nitya. And the death is nothing but moving from one body to another. And so simple as that. So don't worry about that. But your duty is to destroy the enemy. They are the adharmis. And sukha dukkha, happiness and sorrow happen because of the abhimana. You think that someone is your own. If a judge sitting in the court of law thinks that the culprit is his relative, he would not be able to issue a proper judgment. He will be biased. So therefore, a person facing the dilemmas should be free from the prejudices of self. He should not be worried about the sukha dukkha takes place because of the dilemmas of his own people and outside people. And therefore, the entire situation. Something wrong? You are able to hear? Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, the situation will have to be under control by avoiding the feeling that they are our own people, our own men, and so on. So Abhimana Tyaga. And the entire Vedas tell us not just karmas, but so he has to remove that misconceptions that entered the Arjuna's mind and give advice to think rationally, to think systematically, and adopt suitable decisions. So beginning, he says, Senayor Ubhayor Madhe Ratham Sthapayame Achyuta. And towards the end, Nashto Mohaha Smritir Labdha Tot Prasadan Mayachyuta. After listening to entire Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, my misconceptions are done away with. I am able to understand what is my duty, and I will conform to my performance of duty. Now, once your misunderstanding is over, your dismay or your sorrow, your grief would be over. Mohanimittakat, shokat, and then your depression of the mind, weakness of the mind will go away. Once the weakness of the mind goes away, then you should be ready to perform your duties. So the advisor adopts a fivefold strategy in dealing with the depressed Arjuna. One is, first of all, he rebukes him. Klaibyam masmagamah partha, naitatvayu upapadyate, shudram hridaya daurbalyam, taktotishta parantapa. Klaibyam masmagamah partha. Kutasva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anaryajushtam aswargam akirtikaram Arjuna. Where from do you get this thought of not fighting or at this very critical hour? How did you get this? He first rebukes him. But for dealing with a depressed person, a waylaid person, a person who is away from the performance of duties, you should first rebuke him, but not rebuke him much. He immediately tells him that you are a very clever, very pure person, Arjuna. By using the word Arjuna, he reminds him that he never does wrong things, never does blemishful things. Therefore, and then he brings in certain humor in it by saying that your napusakatva was all right during Ajnatavasa, but not now at this hour. So he brings in a little humor. So he has to bring a humor, he has to bring a little cajoling, and then tell him in a very cajoling manner as to what he is thinking is not correct. He puts his hand around his shoulder and addresses him as Partha, Kaunteya, Kuntiputra, you are my sister's son. You are not supposed to think on these lines. So there is a very beautiful message of how to deal with situations of depression with the people who are depressed. The advisor will have to first rebuke him and remind him that he is a very intelligent, clever person by using the word Arjuna. Arjuna means he is a upright person. He is a blemishless person. He always does good things, correct things. And Arjuna means white. Arjuna means a person who never does wrong things. That kind of meaning is there for Arjuna. And then this negative thinking should not be obsessing you at this hour. Now, then he says, like as Vivekananda said, awake, arise and conquer. The inspiring words of advice of Krishna make Arjuna to rethink as to what he has done is. So the approach of an advisor to a manager under depression, under dilemmas, will have to be to make him sit up and analyze the issues himself and then come to the conclusions. Awake, arise. Parantapa, he calls him as Parantapa. You have the capability of destroying the enemy. Parantapayati parantapaha. You have the capability. But now what has happened? You have got into this napusakatva as if it is the Ajnatavasa. At that time it was all right. So give up that and arise. So the fivefold strategy of bringing Arjuna out of the mood of depression tells us as to how we should deal. Negotiate. We should talk to each other. The adjectives that are used, the terms of Sambodhana that are used are very appropriate. He uses the word Partha and Kaunteya, Krishna, whenever he has to cajole him, talk to him in an affectionate manner so that he comes out of the mood of depression. He uses very appropriate adjectives to when Krishna tells in the 6th Adhyaya, Dhyana Yoga, for getting out of the depression, dhyana, meditation is very important. Though the modern management science also tells us about meditation, but the way in which meditation is described and explained in the 6th canto of Bhagavad Gita is simply superb. You must sit at one place. You must distract your mind away from all the attractions. You must focus on Paramatma because he is the Supremo Supremorum. He is free from all blemishes. And then focus on your main work of dilemma, main work of focus. And then if you practice this Dhyana Yoga every day through pranayama, as Baba Ramdev says, Anulom, Vilom and Kapalabhati, all these will cure all the diseases. So once you have this focused attention to your problem, like Dhyana Yoga, you will be freed from the dilemmas. That is how the sixth canto tells us as to how we should free ourselves from the sources of dilemmas. And then the question comes as to how we would do our duty. Once Arjuna is induced to perform his duties, the question comes as to how, what should be the mental modality of doing our duty? What should be the framework of mind for performing our duty? And once performing our duty, that is called as, there are two modalities of performance of our functions. One is called pravritta dharma, another is called nivritta dharma. Pravritta karma, nivritta karma. Pravritta karma means you have the modality of performing your functions with some ulterior motives. You should never have ulterior motives, but you must do your functions in a nivritta karmanutthana framework. Nivritta karman, that is the modality which Bhagavad Gita preaches. The entire message of Bhagavad Gita can be summed up in just one line, that each one, through Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita tells all of us to perform our prescribed functions, whether we are teachers or bankers or household wives or students. We have our prescribed function, prescribed duties there. We must perform our prescribed duties in a framework, in the framework in which we don't have obsession about rewards. Phalapeksha rahitya. Always the emphasis is on duty, performance. Karmanni madhikaraste, ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phalaheturbhuhu, ma te sangosto akarmani. You should not run away from your duty, but perform your duty. But never be obsessed about the rewards. You know, you can easily see if a student is told that you must get 99% or 95%, then only your future career is there. Then if he is always thinking of this reward, he would think of finding out some ways and means of getting the paper leaked, or finding out who is the examiner, how to bribe the examiner, how to bribe his teacher, how to please his boss. If an officer in the office is always thinking of getting promotion, he would be obsessed with many dubious ways of dealing with that. He will not be focusing on his. So not having rewards, obsession about rewards, has been wrongly interpreted by the Westerners, saying that Indian work culture does not give scope for incentives, does not give scope for motivation, does not give scope for rewards. No, rewards are there, goals are there, targets are there, aspirations are there, but don't be obsessed about the rewards. You do your duty. If an officer is, instead of doing his duty, thinks of pleasing his boss, or if a student thinks of pleasing his teacher or examiners, then he cannot do your duty. So today the world is obsessed, is highly distorted, because people are running away from the performance of duties, but giving emphasis on the dubious methods of getting things done. That is why the corruption increases and efficiency comes down. And third is to do your duty with a robust objective of serving the mankind, of serving the God, of doing the welfare of the mankind, welfare of the corporate sector in which you are working. If you keep such robust objectives, then your emphasis on duty performance, your focus on duty performance would be increased. You should never do your duty with vanity, that I did it. You know, I had been invited to Japan to deliver some lectures, and there I found that the white-collar man and the usual laborer, they all have the same dress and they all work and together for the welfare of the company. There is no distinction. Nobody says I did it. Always says we did it. There are 3 C's in the Japanese industrial culture: competence, consistency, and communication. So the same thing is stated in yoga. Yoga karmasu kauchalam. Always efficiency in one's own work is yoga. And therefore, a number of important elements come in this Nivritta Karmanutthana framework. You should not have vanity. You should think of a robust objective. You should not always be obsessed about the rewards. Then you should do your prescribed duties. Then it will give you a very robust work culture in the system. Today, we are suffering from lack of proper work culture. Always we pass on the bucks to the others and never think that it is my duty, my responsibility. The social responsibility clause of the corporate sector is only an eyewash. It is done to show off to the government that certain part of the expenditure is done for social responsibility purposes. But if the real management is interested in doing the work for the welfare of the society, welfare of the human beings, they must design the work modality in such a way that everyone gets motivated to do his work. There is no need for incentives or rewards. It's not carrot and the carrots do not make the incentive for work, but self-realization that it is my duty to perform the work, my duty to serve the cause. And unless we bring in this transformation in the work culture, our country will not progress very well. And the ancient system was, once I was in Geneva, my secretary, I was working in the South Center for 3 months on a project of which Julius Nyerere, former president of Tanzania, had assigned to me. And I told my secretary that, have you sent that letter to such and such person? She said, why should you remind me? You have told me once, I will do it. Now, that is the kind of responsibility. Here we have to tell our secretaries 10 times to remind him, remind her to do the jobs. Our work culture has gone for haywire, has gone terribly upset. And therefore, now time is over. And therefore, Ramesh, you tell me when the time is getting over.
Because you can go ahead, please.
You can go ahead.
Still the 17th slide is there.
Another 5-10 minutes?
You said still 17. This is the 17th slide you are showing here.
Oh, no, I know. I can't go by. I'm not going by the slides.
Okay.
No, but if I can go, I'm doing extempore actually.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. And Bhagavad Gita also gives emphasis on duty. The emphasis is on performance of duty and not on obsession about rewards. And therefore, a good manager, he has to keep his mind open. And when he reaches the advisor will take all the options into account and give the proper emphasis. And there is so much of communication skill contained in Bhagavad Gita. Communication skill, the use of the adjectives, to use of the Sambodhana terms in Bhagavad Gita is always very helpful. The communication skill plays an important role. That is what Bhagavad Gita tells us. When when Arjuna says that Chanchalam Himana Krishna, Pramati Balabhadradam, in the sixth canto, when he is emphasizing on Dhyana Yoga, Arjuna says, my mind is very fickle. I'm not able to control it. He addresses Krishna as Krishna. Krishna means Karshanat Krishna Uchade. Krishna is capable of dragging the mind away from others to himself. He hints at Krishna, saying, why are you not dragging my mind towards you? Focus on towards you means doing on you as an icon of perfection. Why do you not take me to the horizon of perfection? You are dragging me into my own dilemmas and problems. And then Krishna says, Asamshayam Mahabaho, Mano Durnigraham Chalam, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. He says, Mahabaho, you think that you have got very broad, valiant shoulders. You are able to run down. You are known as Vijaya. You are known as Jishnu. You are known as a number of names, and number of but you think that the enemies are outside, but enemies are within you. Kama, Krodha, they are all your enemies. Kama Yesha, Krodha Yesha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha, Mahamashano Mahapapma, Vidhyena Mehavairinam. Krishna tells Arjuna that for your aptitude to run away from your duty is the internal uh, desire to serve your own purpose. Your own desires are causing you problem. So you run away from your karma and anger, and then only you will be efficient. Free yourself from the sources of bondage of the mind. Then only you will be able to get at an efficient horizon. And that's why the Nivritta Karmanusthana framework is the message of Bhagavad Gita. Now, why should we do our work to serve the cause of the welfare of the cause of Paramatma, for pleasing Paramatma? Because Paramatma is Supremo Supremorum. He is an icon of perfection. He is an icon of all good qualities. He is not having you may accept a God or does not accept a God, but in every situation you have a horizon which symbolizes the maximum efficiency. I can say when I have delivered a lecture very well, perfectly, I can say that I have achieved moksha. I have gone near God, because the highest efficiency frontier is symbolizing God. And so the moksha is a situation of reaching the optimum horizon of frontier of our work, which symbolizes the perfection and good things. And therefore, to be able to reach that horizon, you should always make effort and free ourselves from kama and krodha, which are enemies of efficient behavior. And then after giving all these tips for performance of our duties, Arjuna says that my moha, my misunderstanding is over. I will do as per your diktat. And Krishna gives the practical side of the behavior by classifying a number of things as sattvika, rajasa, tamasa. Food, sattvika food, rajasa food, tamasa food. Tapas, sattvika tapas, rajasa tapas, tamasa tapas. All these things, different aspects of life. Now he defines a sattvika karta very beautifully, very beautifully. Mukta sango anahamvadi, dhrityutsaha samanvitaha, siddha siddhyoho nirvikaraha, karta sattvika uchyate. Mukta sangaha, one who does not have the attachment that is mine, it is for my benefit, who does not have the passion of owning everything, and he does it for duty. And then anahamvadi, who never says that I did it. As I said, you must always share the responsibility and the fruits with everyone. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu, sarve bhadrani paschantu, maha kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किंच जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथाः मा गृधः कस्य सिद्धिनम्. All the resources of the universe belong to the Lord, not to yourselves. It is much more socialistic than the Karl Marx or Lenin and other Eastern economics, Eastern European countries' economists. And therefore, you must have a number of things interpreted in the modern jargon. Then you get many issues of philosophy of life. And Mukta Sangha, Anahamvadi, Dhrityutsaha Samanvitaha. A Sattvika Karta is the one who has the courage and the enthusiasm to implement new things, innovate, and adopt new methods, new technologies. He should never feel depressed. Siddha siddhyoho nirvikaraha. He should not feel depressed when things go wrong, and he should not feel excessively elated when small things become well. If the Sensex rises, you may jump up saying that your assets have increased in value. If Sensex falls a little bit, you may feel depressed. You should never have that kind of situation of ups and downs, excitement and depression. Siddhi siddhoho nirvikaraha. Karta satvika uchyate. Like such a person is called as satvika karta, that or the most efficient performer. And therefore, the various, similarly, Rajasa Karta, Tamasa Karta, they are all categorizations of different types of work culture. And the emphasis is on having Satvika Ahara, Satvika Vihara, and Satvika Kartritva to be efficient. Ultimately, Bhagavad Gita ends up with a beautiful summing up of all the messages or principles. यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णः यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्री विजयो भूतिः ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम. यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णः. Krishna is the Lord of the yoga. Yoga means actually instrumentalities for efficiency. He is not yoga in the sense of Baba Ramdev's yoga, but yoga means upaya or dhanopaya. He is a spiritual guru. Krishna is the spiritual dimension, values, norms, and you may not go into the details of what Krishna did or what he did not do, but Krishna symbolizes the yoga or value system. Then yatra partho dhanurdharaha, and also there should be dimension of actual working. So you must have the spiritual dimension of emphasis on values and a materialistic dimension of work like Arjuna. Then only you will get tatra srihi, then you will get wealth, you will get vijaya, success, bhutihi, all the wealth, tatra sri vijayo bhutihi, dhruvani tirmatir mama. This is my firm conviction. That is how Arjuna is told by Krishna. And Sanjay, this is the word of Sanjaya, summing up the entire message of Bhagavad Gita. And hence, I'm sorry, I'm not able to run into my slides. There is another towards the end. I have said lifestyle and resource balance, which gives, you can study the slides if they are made available to you. And then if you have any questions, you can ask me on my email. Dr. Gayatri has got my email. You can write to me and I will be happy to answer, analyze or discuss with you. So yeah, so this is what the Bhagavad Gita tells us, the various principles of managing oneself, whereas the Western science tells you how to manage others. So with these few words, I stop here because I have already exceeded the time limit given to me, and I hope that you have got some glimpse of how Bhagavad Gita is helpful in having optimum management, optimum development, optimum approach to life, and so that the welfare of not only the individual but welfare of the mankind is developed. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Though it is some glimpse, but very quality glimpse you have given to all of us. We ensure that we all implement whatever the suggestion, whatever the values you have given to us. I request all the participants to please fill the feedback which is on the chat box. Anyone has any doubts to ask, clarify with sir. Or you can put your questions or doubts in the chat box. All the participants, please fill the feedback. I now request Dr. Padmaja ma'am to give vote of thanks.
Sarvebhyo Namaha. Bhagavad Gita is the sacred text. It deals with wide spectrum of practical attitudes towards this spirituality. Also, it cultivates the art of leadership, developing human resources, delegation, motivation, and communication. On behalf of Ramaya College of Art, Science and Commerce, I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Dr. V.R. Panchamukhi sir, for making an excellent presentation and making this FDP meaningful and interesting. I thank everyone for taking the time to be a part of this FDP. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you all the participants. Tomorrow we'll meet at the same time with same energy. Thank you one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Gayatri. Namaskara.
Sir, namaskar. Thank you, sir.
I will close my video. This
Yes,
one?
sir. Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Leave the
Thank
meeting.
you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank
God
you.
bless,
Thank you very
God
much,
bless
sir.
all of you. I will take another opportunity of being perfectly, in Zoom and in other